This is the iPhone XR, or Apple's $749 budget iPhone option back in 2018. Now, it wasn't bad by any means back then, except for one thing, which we will come by later on. But the question is, how was it to use an iPhone XR more than 6 years after its release? As always, let's start with the design. The iPhone XR has a notch, curved aluminum edges, which makes the phone very comfy to hold, a glass back, a 6.1-inch screen, and a single 12-megapixel camera on the back. And all in all, in my opinion, it doesn't look that much outdated. Sure, it has a KSI forehead-sized notch, somewhat thick bezel, which we will come by later on, and only one camera, but it doesn't look like the old iPhone 8 or the iPhone 6s, with thick top and bottom bezels and a button. And even though it was supposed to be the budget option of iPhones released that year, it still feels quite premium with the aluminum edges and the glass back. Anyways, let's wind back to the single 12-megapixel camera. And even though this camera is only 12 megapixels, Apple's software does a great job making the most of it. It handles extremely well in good lighting. And as you can see, here are some pictures taken with the XR, and those pictures are sharp, vibrant, and have a decent dynamic range. Here are some more pictures compared to the newer iPhone 15 Pro, and honestly, if you don't go into details, they look pretty similar. Now, portrait mode is also available on the iPhone XR, and even though it doesn't have a second lens, it uses AI to create the depth effect. But as you can see on these pictures, it works best on people rather than on objects. The rear camera can also shoot up to 4K at 60 FPS, which is great for smooth, high-resolution footage. It also has optical image stabilization and electronic stabilization, and what these things do is that it keeps the footage smooth and steady. And as you can see here, the footage taken with the iPhone XR looks incredible. Now let's look at the software. This phone runs on the newest iOS 18, meaning it has almost all the newest features, like a more customizable home screen and a more secure phone. And even though this phone is over half a decade old, it still performs quite well. For calling, messaging, and social media, this phone works just fine. Opening up and using apps is fast and smooth too. Gaming on this phone is also fine, but it ultimately depends on the game you're playing. For simple games, there's almost no lag, but the same can't be said for more power-craving games. But this phone is over 6 years old, and the technological world has been evolving very quickly, so this phone isn't foolproof, which actually now brings us to the negative sides about using this phone in 2025. And let's start with the screen, which is infuriatingly bad. To make this phone cheaper, although it really wasn't, Apple used a budget display. They went with an IPS LCD display, which wasn't used on the iPhone X or the XS, which was released alongside the XR. Now, having an IPS LCD display gave the XR thick bezels, less vibrant colors, and a low contrast ratio. This is super noticeable if you're coming from higher quality displays, like an OLED display or a Super AMOLED display. Another big downside to the screen is the resolution. The screen on the iPhone XR's resolution is only 828 by 1792, which is lower than full HD. This means you can't properly enjoy 180p content, which was a major controversy at the time. Now, the display can only go up to 652 nits of peak brightness, which means that it's not gonna be easy using this phone outdoors. So in conclusion, in 2025, this is a real bummer, as even budget phones come with better displays, and sticking with the 60Hz IPS LCD screen just doesn't cut it anymore. But anyways, over to the battery. This phone has a 2942 mAh battery, which isn't bad at all. The only problem is that most of the iPhone XRs out there are used phones, which in turn means most of the phones have degraded batteries. My iPhone XR is at 83% battery health, and it seems to be doing just okay. The battery lasts a whole day, but I have to use my phone less, which is actually a good thing now that I think about it. Now, another negative side with this phone is the price today. If you go onto eBay, most iPhone XR phones are priced around $100 to $200, but the XS, which in my opinion is way better due to it having a better screen, more RAM, and another telephoto camera, cost about the same. So personally, I wouldn't buy the XR, but the better XS. So in conclusion, the XR is okay to use in 2025. Everything about this phone is nice, except the screen. Now, if you're going to buy an XR and are coming from an OLED screen or just any higher quality screen with a higher refresh rate, you will notice the difference. Anyways, thank you for sticking around and watching the whole video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you later.